Yeah, I don't know. I think it just pings it so they can look into it. That's what I think it does. I don't
Yeah,
think it
then they
bans you
check
right
how
away.
many LD-Net 5s you have, and they see 0. Oh, this guy's not hacking.
No LD-Net 5s. He's not a cheater.
True.
No, you gotta
True.
like that. Andrew, I'm already dead inside. Come on.
I'm only saying because
I'm already dead. Why did you have to kill me again?
Don't worry.
All right, cool. Aloha, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast today. We got a different mix of people. Thompson is not here, but I think it's gonna be fun, right? Bringing in different people every week. But sometimes when we had some really good questions from the previous week, bringing them back, revitalizing them, and talking again and discussing again can yield more results. So I think it's gonna be a lot of fun today. So thank you guys for taking some time out of your day to join me. Let's go ahead and get right into topic number 1. Now, this is a topic that we have discussed a little bit last week, and it's just basically about quality of life changes. It's basically what kind of quality of life changes would you like to see in the game, right? What kind of things can we see improved in the game? Obviously, we have different people here today. We can bring up similar topics from last week, or if you guys have things that you guys brainstorm yourself that you guys want to bring in, feel free to lay it out here. Yeah, so anybody who is ready can go first.
I actually couldn't hear you guys. I'm all good now.
I think Lucky had one that you wanted to talk about.
Oh, that one's for one of the other topics, but I think one of the main ones, it's already been brought up like many times before, just stackable grinds and gems, and I'm happy, and that's it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's coming. I need that desperately, though. I desperately need that. I'm all about that.
It's so hard to find which ones you want to sell. It's just like...
It's also... also, when you like look through the inventory, they're like not in order properly, and you're like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I legit can't R5 right now because I don't have the room.
And ancient grinds also throw them out of place. They just go in between.
Yeah, they're just randomly in there.
Why?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's super weird.
One that I've been looking for, and I think it matters to some people, but not everyone, is when you're looking through the rune manager or you're just like selling runes one by one. If you sell a rune, all the places randomize.
Yeah.
That's really, really annoying.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why it does that, but it's really, really annoying.
I hate that.
I hate the fact that like every time you open and close your monster box that you have to re-specify like speed, don't show equipped monsters. Like that drives me nuts. Oh, I hate that.
Yeah,
that's fun for me.
That sell one is pretty bad.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
What about another one would be like Guild War warnings, like for time limits, like if there's an hour or half hour, like gives you like a push notification. Maybe help some people that haven't done Guild Wars yet.
Okay, so notifications for content on when it's about to end and whatnot would be nice.
Yeah, only for the people that haven't done it, so you don't get spammed if you've already done it with like an extra notification.
Maybe like a chat alert. You know what I mean? Like when you get invited to a raid, like something like that pops up, right? That kind of annoys you, right? That little question mark that annoys you. That might be a good one actually to ping you that Guild Wars. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good one. I like that. I like that a lot.
Another one I had was ability to see. This might be in the RTA session, but ability to see who favorited you in replays. And
that'd be funny.
Oh, you can see who favorited you?
Yeah.
They're like a followers page, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can get followers. I think that's cool. I think that's an interesting idea. I mean, right now they have likes, right? But that doesn't really do much. It just shows you like how much likes you have. That's all there is to that. Currently, that's what they released.
We've definitely brought this one up in the past. We've probably talked about it.
Bring it back.
3 or 4 times on the podcast, but I think it's worth bringing back. I always wanted, you know how like when you're on your phone playing games, you have like Facebook Messenger. It's like this little circle overlay on the screen.
Yeah.
I want them to have that, but with your rune inventory. So like while you're doing R5 or something, you can tap that, and then you can just like open up your rune inventory, and you can start like rolling runes and stuff like that, or you can like, play around with builds, because then you can actually like actively play the game for hours and hours and hours and hours forever. You basically you create more playability for the game, so people want to play it more.
That's true. Actually being active, right? Because right now there's probably a lot of users that are playing, but it's just farming, right? Autoing. So they're not actually playing.
And then at the same time, it's like, it's not going to interrupt you if you finish a run, right? Like if you get encapsulated in the idea of, I want to upgrade these runes, I want to change these runes, like you get lost in that time. That's fine. You remember if you used to chat in game, if you're someone who did that, every time a run ended, you would just lose whatever you were typing.
Dude, that was the worst. Dude.
Yeah.
It was the worst.
annoying
It was
as
the
hell.
worst. But then they changed it so that it didn't automatically close. You can do the same thing with this like idea for inventory management while we're doing runs. Obviously, it would kind of suck while you're doing things like, 25, 30-second giants runs because it would just be really fast, really fast, really fast.
Right. You know
But
what?
it could be really
Go ahead.
sorry.
No,
it could
no,
be
no.
really,
Go ahead. Go
it could
ahead.
be really great for when you're doing rift dungeons, right? Rift dungeons are like a fixed minute and a half, 2.5 minutes, depending on how like weak your team is.
Or like the dimensional.
So
hole
the
or
idea to
something.
get through, like, to be able to do something while having to grind out that like shitty aspect of the game is really, really good.
True. Something to keep you a little bit more active would be
That's
nice.
a good one. Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Hole, etc.
So going back to the runes a little bit, and some of the things that annoy you with the runes. One thing, is it possible? Okay, I'm not sure here. When you open up the runes, where you can see all the runes, right? You can select what slots, and it shows you all of those slots, right? In that square rune management. Are you able to multi-sell runes from there, or not? It's
No.
single,
No,
right?
no.
I
No,
want
it's
to
a-
multi-sell from that. I don't want to have to click
Yes.
the other one to
That'd be
multi-sell.
nice.
Right? I
Yes.
want to be able to multi-sell from that, like scroll down that whole list and go all the slots and click and multi-sell. I think that's something that they should implement. Like a more
That's a great one, man.
Yeah, it's a good quality of life. It was so
I think
annoying.
the other thing they need to add there is also sorting by rune quality. They still haven't got that. So
Like
sorting,
in
so it goes
like in
legends
equality,
down to.
legend or hero.
So yeah, pretty much yeah. So legends.
I agree.
hero,
So
That's a good one.
one more thing I want to add to that rune manager is an exclude option.
Mhm.
Don't have blank stat.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a whole nother realm.
It's it's not super relevant in every case. Like there's only a couple times where you'll actually use it, but like I was trying to rune my Leo and I actually had to go through every single rune I had for violent to find like the 2 runes I have that would be good for. Because it's not like I can sort by speed and then go the other way because then there's speed on the rune no matter what.
Do you
That's
think
fair.
do you think it would be viable to insert a third line of this stat, and this stat, or is a third stat too much? You think it's too specific?
I don't think you need a third stat.
Don't
You
need a
filter
third one,
really
yeah.
fast with 2 stats.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
If
I
you
think
wanted
if
to
we go
add a
back to-
third option. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Ty. I was going to say if it was going to be what I think it might be what you were about to say anyway. The third line should be excluding. So have this including the stat, excluding the stat. Kind
So
of
what I
play
was
around
what I
with
was
it.
actually I mean it's a good idea. We could definitely implement it. What I was going to say though is instead of having like a third line that's a conditional for a stat, you could have it say both stats must equal over blank. So like you could look for if you're looking for HP and defense, like you could say it has to be over 40%.
Hmm.
Because then you sort by like runes, or you could sort by ungrinded runes or something like that.
Okay, I like these good ideas. This is actually like the quality of life changes that I think are best to kind of convey to them, because like some of these little things that bug us, that irritate us, I'm sure Comptos wants to fix it, and I don't think it's that huge of an ask to fix these little things, right? So, but some of these other things that we kind of suggest, like the rune stacking and the excluding and things like that, maybe it happen, maybe it doesn't, but by suggesting it, it might potentially be out there. Any other ones?
What
Any other
about-
quality of life changes? Go ahead.
What about creating like an RTA box option? So like you can set what monsters you want like an RTA box. So that way it helps first of all like for people that want to like hide their monsters, you no longer have to the monsters that are physically like out on your island aren't the ones that you're gonna like see in the box. So people can hide their monsters better if they want to, or they can leave out
Search
everything
function?
and be overwhelmed.
Yeah, I
how,
like
about
that.
how about a search function?
I think
Or
the
favorites.
box would be more
Or
relevant.
Favorites bar in your storage, where you can favorite a monster and it's at the top of your storage always, so that way you don't have to like in and out of your inventory.
Yeah.
A custom,
Yeah.
a custom
a bad idea.
sort for your storage would be good. Literally click and drag custom sort storage.
Yeah.
I just felt like if you're gonna do RTA anyway, like you're gonna have like they might as well just make like a separate box that you see only in RTA game mode, right? So you can kind of set like what mons are gonna be in that anyway,
yeah.
just like it's in game mode. So
Yeah.
So, like,
okay. So what you mean is like a custom screen, like a separate tab where you can just like these
No,
are
no,
the
it's
no,
like an
monsters.
entire
Like,
separate
monster
box.
would be,
Like a
RTA.
deck, right? Like it's a RTA deck, and then when you
Basically.
go into RTA, before you go
That's a
to
good
it,
way
you
to
just click it,
describe it.
and then it will give you a box maybe on the bottom left, where your most recent usually is, and that's like a set of monsters that you want to continue to use most of the time, and then everything
Yeah,
else you search like normal, right, or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean like basically yeah, like you can predetermine which monster box. It doesn't even have to have like another tab. It can just be that regular monster box that you see. You predetermine which monsters beforehand are going to be able to be seen in that, so you don't have like a bunch of tabs.
So technically, can you not just use the recent tab in storage?
But the idea is like you want to only see mons you're going to use for RTA in the RTA.
Because it gets annoying when you're logging in on a different device or like your.
And then they'll also always be in the same place every time.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess like the way I would want to set that up would just be like, so when you open your monster storage from Arena or RTA, there's like the drop down for like the grade menu. If there was a button beside that, just to, like profiles or decks, and then you could just click in what you. It'd be helpful for Siege too, because you can find Siege units faster.
Right.
You can like slot in your 3 Siege units that you want to use always, like those specific 3 together, and then you can have the next 3 and the next 3. So it'd be good for like multiple aspects of the game.
You know what annoys me? When you're doing RTAs, it's your opponent's pick, but I cannot look in my box to look at my own units right now in my box. Why? It's his pick, but I want to look at my box. I want to look and think about what I want to do, right? And I want to look at the runes on my box that are units that are in storage. Like, why should I not be able to do that? I need that to be available, not just on my pick turn, but on my opponent's, right? I want to be able to utilize my time to the maximum and strategically use, the best of my abilities, the time to think about what I want to do. So they need to let us look inside our box while it's our opponent's turn to pick for units. Something small though.
Also, while you're picking, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just agreeing. That's all.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Also, while you're in your monster storage, while you're doing RTA, they should move the clock to the top right corner so you can see it. It's really annoying not being able to see the monster storage clock.
Yeah, that's super
because you could be deciding between 2 units and suddenly you're like, oh well, shit, it auto picked.
Yeah, 10 seconds becomes like 5 or 3. It's so fast.
Yeah. I always cut myself too short.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. What else is there? Going back to the runes again. For people that do reapps, I would like some kind of search mechanic to easily sort through and get legend qualities. You know what I mean? I just want to see legend qualities. Like, if I'm going to re-app, everybody knows you need to re-app legends. Why do we need to see purples and stuff like that, right? If people want to do that, they can, but everybody spreads information. Hey, don't re-app unless it's legend. Don't re-app unless it's legend. I want to be able to sort to only have legend quality runes so I can re-app, right? I think that's better.
Also be able to sort by runes that have innate stats.
Yeah.
Yeah, not includes prefix and
yeah.
Include prefix. That was the dumbest. I mean,
prefix should have been automatically included. It should not be an option, to be honest.
Correct.
All right. Any other suggestions here? We came up with some good ones today. We brought up some topics that are really good, like runes.
Chat has good suggestions.
Small one, no more text for rivals. I don't know if anybody's talked about that before, but like just make the rival process faster.
That'd be so great. I would have.
True. Like, I already play the game. I've been playing the game for 5 years. I know what he says. Why do I need to talk to him again, right? Maybe the first time you play, you see it.
That's what I'm saying.
You're right. You're right. Yeah. No goddamn text from rivals. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I hate to click that, but I mean, hey, you habitually click that, and you know what you're gonna click every single time. So
it makes me dread doing rivals. That's the thing. I just
extra clicks.
That text.
Yeah, I don't.
Woo! First world problems here with Invictus. Gotta love it. I'm just kidding, dude.
Just being practical. Small thing. Small things don't matter.
You're right.
Monster Bait had a really good suggestion from chat. He was saying that when someone applies to your guild, you should be able to click them and go to their profile and check out things from there.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, that's actually
that way you don't. That way you don't have to ask someone, "Hey, come to this chat channel. I want to look through your monster box." You should be able to just click them and then just go in.
Yeah, that's huge actually.
Into their monster box, reveal them. If you're happy, accept. If you're not happy, well then just hit decline.
I mean, the fact that we have to use like line chat and other things to like recruit for guilds and see units and have them post stuff is kind of kind of weird. You should be able to do that and access that at this point in the game. Be able to analyze and see who's going to be good for your guild, a good fit or not. So I like that. All right. I think those are some really good quality of life changes that we have suggested here. Hopefully Comtuous takes some of them to heart and pushes them in the future, right? On some updates. I'm sure maybe some of the ones that we suggested they're already looking into, or they have already, tried to figure out results for. But let's see some of those results moving forward. And I think this topic in particular, I like it. We've been talking about it a lot lately, and I like it. So we're gonna try to keep this one going to kind of push Comtuous with these various topics, because these things that we suggest should be really looked at, right? Of course, some of the buffs, nerfs, things is fine, but these things are really important because this is the core mechanics of the game, right? And it's the core, aspect of the game when you're playing. So quality of life changes are really, really important. Let's move on to topic number 2 here. Topic number 2 is something that we haven't talked about too much, or we brushed up on it a long time ago. Monster AIs. what monster AIs can be improved? Like, how can they be improved in general? And what specific units could improve in terms of AI in general as well, right?
So,
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Yep.
Okay. So I mean, I made some notes. Definitely stripper AI. So for AD, that'd be like a huge increase in like consistency, and also guild war defense. So like any stripper unit, I think that they should have prioritization on the strip skill, on the third skill. So like for example, some units like Chiwu, they lose their viability on AD simply because
Chiwu has 2 strips. That's why the priority split. If you didn't have strip on second skill, it wouldn't prioritize it as much.
Yeah.
But
So I
because
think
the skills have the
what
same
people, right,
aspect there.
I see.
that's where I should step in.
See. Oh, what else do you have there, Invictus? Was that
I
the
think
first?
Yeah, Belinus, I think that the prioritization on that one should be, I don't know why, for some reason they have it so second go before third, but if you're putting that on defense, the second go before third just completely messes up the way that the skill works.
For which thing?
Belinus.
Villainous.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Pony AI, so Alexandra in particular, like I feel like they made her, if they're not going to buff or nerf her, at least fix her AI so it doesn't get stuck in like human and pony form, so it always will cycle back.
Yeah, I think ponies are a big one.
Yeah.
Definitely big one.
Stripper AI, speed booster AI, stuff like that.
Yeah, those should be a little bit more consistent. When you set things on defense, you want to have some reliability that they are going to do what you're setting and, you know, ruining them and gearing them to do, right? So losing that reliability kind of sucks. And the main reason I brought up this topic, just before you guys have any more suggestions, because I'm sure you guys have for this, is that I really think that some units that we've been talking about in the past that have really been, you know, we've been wanting nerfs or buffs for, I think, or in specific buffs for, I think by improving the AIs of the various units out there, it actually, in essence, kind of makes them more viable and, in a sense, maybe more buffed as well. So I think this is something that Comptos really should look into, is the monster AI.
I mean, look at
Controversial topic.
What's
Yeah,
that?
no, I mean,
Sorry, say yours first. What you're talking about?
people moved away from Lucian's because Julie's AI is perfect. So like that's an example of Julie didn't get necessarily buffed, but they found ways to like having perfect AI is a buff in and of itself for project runs.
It's too bad very few people can actually run that though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
The
then-
the actual stat requirements are huge.
It's insane, dude.
For one shotting the towers and dragons, yes, but you can still run it even if you don't want to one shot the towers for Necro and Giants. It doesn't actually change the way the team works. So you don't have to be like, oh, I can't one shot.
Really heavy build of. It's just a really high stat requirement is all it comes down to.
Yeah, because she needs speed too. It's not like you just give her a fat Lucian set.
Mm-hmm. You know who I heard has a perfect AI and is usually on the podcast? Crystal Shizzle has talked about Luna, the Dark Puree, has a perfect AI because of the fact that the stipulation and the skill says something about having 100% HP, which she does, which usually she does.
All of them.
It'll always be perfect. Yeah.
We talked about that last time when I
think you were on it too. I think it was
really
you
fast-
and Crystal Shizzle.
Yeah, I brought up the Giants team. I was like, so who likes the fact that this Giants team is 100% stable at this exact second? You need the purees, and then you need so you need 2 Lunas, a Sophia, and a Julie, because all of those units have 100% HP stipulation on their skills. The only one that doesn't do it is the light one, because it has 100% stipulation on 2 different skills, so it randomizes between the 2.
I see.
Honestly, the team I use for Giants, Dragons, Necro, and it never loses ever. It's the same team for absolutely everything, and it never loses. Not ever.
Is that the Julie team? Or a
No,
different
I use
The twin one, the water twin one?
Lucian, Sabrina, Triple Talia with decent HP stats. It doesn't lose.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Rune quality is giving you a stability here. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I
not
mean,
even like
I don't know,
a
Luna.
anything crazy. Like if I put in an optimizer, like a good optimized monster, it never tries to take any runes from these monsters. But yeah,
That's so
Good
good.
feeling.
That's actually super
Yeah.
good.
it really works really well. I would advise anybody that has them to do that. Lucian, Sabrina, Triple Talia is amazing in every dungeon.
I mean, I run that team just with. I don't have a Luna, so I just do double Talia, Julie, Shayna, Sabrina.
Mhm.
instead.
Yeah, I think that those teams are sick. I love it.
So yeah, I think improving the unit AIs, I mean, obviously there are a lot of monsters out there, right? Especially when you factor in 3-star monsters and 4-star monsters, there's a lot. So I mean, I think CompTOS first should, I think it's a big project to be able to fix all unit AIs, but I think CompTOS should first look at the units that are kind of used a lot, right? I'm sure they have the statistics on it on what units are used the most. and try to look into the AIs and make sure that the AIs of these units are working well and make sense, right? A lot of times, I mean, I will say this because they don't play the game that much. I mean, they test the game, they play it, but they don't play it to the extent that we play it from time to time. So they don't see that, right? I'm sure if they see something wrong, they try to fix it, right? But sometimes they don't see these things. So we need to bring up these different AIs that we think, you know, kind of makes sense onto how the AIs are supposed to work, while, you know, being that they are wrong and need to have a change. So any other units currently right now that you think, you know, also maybe need some looking into for AI changes?
Since she got the skill adjustment, how has like Praha been?
Still the same. Sucks.
Still bad. I haven't used her.
I mean, 50% chance of activation rate because of the way. Well, this I was gonna bring this up later on. That activate thing is an RTA improvement, but because it's 50% before activate, it's less than 50% chance to sleep something, and yeah. So most of the time, you're only gonna get 1 or 2 units, and things have will in arena, so didn't really change her at all. Kind of awkward.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that does seem kind of shitty.
Yeah. What else is weird AI? I mean, especially when I fight against beast monks, dude. Sometimes I think they do the weirdest moves, bro. Like, sometimes it doesn't prioritize its heal. Like, yeah, why is that?
Because they're gonna take 3 turns anyway.
It knows it's gonna proc, right? It's gonna go third into first into second.
Dude, Reed just derps so much, dude. I was like, aha, and I'm like, oh great, he did heal, but then he does proc. Yeah, he does proc. But yeah, their AI seems weird. Like, that's just an example of an AI just going wrong, right? A unit is under 50. Why are you not healing? Why are you S1ing, or why are you S3? You know, like, why are these priorities taken in? There should be more. You know, I think there's pros and cons, right? Consistency to the AIs for us to battle against, and consistency on the AIs for them to be stronger defenses. So I don't like that, right? I mean, I will refer to Summoners to the game that, you know, is right now, you know, kind of there right next to Summoners E7, right? A lot of the AIs that you experience in E7 is a little bit more consistent, right? I'm sure Tyler could give some opinions.
That's actually exactly what I was gonna bring up. That's why I said controversial topic.
Right. I mean, it's not controversial. It's about game, man.
Well, the controversial topic is actually having non-perfect AI is better for defense because it creates an unpredictability situation. So like if you go into a defense expecting a Bastet to skill 3 and it doesn't, and it changes your turn order, and suddenly you're moving in between them and they're moving in between you might just lose. Right? That Kamoon Odin Bastet team. Sometimes if the Bastet doesn't skill 3, everything changes really fast, right? Or the Bastet skill 3s, violent skill 2s, it's skill 2s and then skill 3s, and then the Kamoon violent procs and kill something, right? Like, you have all these unpredictability factors that cause it to actually be a stronger defense.
No, you're definitely right.
Right? Seven.
I think more
you debate everything, and you just lose because it's just so perfect. Like, the AI does exactly what you expected.
Win conditions based on like the skill order, like for certain units. Like if you put a Trident on a defense or anything. I think if you are basing, like, you have a Trident, a CC follow-up, and some speed lead, if your win condition for that defense is Trident doing a strip and then the CC following up, then if you have to do the strip, you lose, that sort of thing.
So I agree that it's frustrating when you set up a defense to do something specific, but at the same time, that's why I don't think it's a stronger defense. I think the stronger defenses are always the defenses that have unpredictability and a lot of RNG. Right? We lose because RNG is such a strong factor. So the more RNG you can set up, which includes ways to approach attacking it, that's really how we win, right? Orion derps can win you a match on defense. The Stet derps can win you a match on defense. Those things are just completely unpredictable, and there's really nothing you can do about it unless you're willing to take the risk of being extremely slow compared to the enemy to make sure that they move first. And even then, you're also giving up first turn, which is unpredictable, because that could strip defense break and stun the one unit you need and kill it.
Yeah, I see your point there on the unpredictability-ness, but there are differences, right? Epic 7 doesn't have as many variables, I think, in the battles as Summoners War does. Summoners War already has variables, right? In terms of violent and despair runes, whereas you don't really have that predictability or those unvariable abilities in Epic 7. So I think it should be.
I disagree with that.
Why is that?
You have all of those things. They're just limited to certain units, right? You have Abyssal Crown for stuns. You have RNL for extra procs.
But the thing is that
units that automatically take extra turns anyways. Also, you have speed RNG as the main difference in unpredictability there.
Yeah, but we all know that RNG is the stupidest thing, bro. I mean, we're getting into Epic 7 discussion.
But
right?
if we agree that RNG is the stupidest thing, isn't that more the reason why we should understand that it's actually good for defense here? Right,
yeah,
I mean,
I think
we both played E7 since the beginning. We know how easy it is to do yours because.
But I think more times than not,
the way it should.
Right, but more times than not, I think in Summoner's War, the unpredictability we're saying, units using skills kind of weirdly, does not usually yield you that success on defense. I will say that. It doesn't. It doesn't, man. It doesn't add up enough. I think if it was, it doesn't, it can still be unpredictable, but a little bit more reliable in some way or aspect, it's going to be way better, dude. That's my opinion. I'm going to stick to that.
Do you think that win rates will go up if it's more predictable, or do you think win rates will go down? I personally think win rates will go down because people will be able to expect things easier.
I think win rates would go up.
On defense.
Yeah. With the predictability and the way that violent procs and despair procs right now are, but with the reliability of your units and them doing things that you intended to do on defense, it's going to be even more toxic.
Okay. For the context of the situation, do you mean in specifically G3 or do you mean across all ranks?
Across all ranks, sure, across all ranks and G3, right? Because when you go into battle, right, and you're setting up your 3 units to go against whatever defense, you are assuming they are doing what they're doing, right? So if you're assuming they're doing and they don't, then you win right off the bat because they already derped. You literally win because they derped, right off the bat. He didn't even use S3. That's even better for me, right? I mean, I think it goes both ways is what I'm trying to say as well, right? It goes both ways. The unpredictability doesn't necessarily give you more success or more fail, actually. Come to think of it.
Okay, you're not wrong. You're not
yeah,
wrong.
It's kind of a gray here. The more I'm thinking about it.
I guess the way I'm trying to like frame it is that we know statistically the best defenses are the ones that are just extremely strong because of like light dark units, and then the ones that have really good really high RNG potential, right? I mean, statistically, those are the best ones. Kamoon, Yen, Orion, Kamoon, Orion, Skogul. We have for a long time it was the Bestets, the Jean, the Molong Chandra, stuff like that, right? Chandra can double hug. We had those situations. Those were the strongest ones because of the extra RNG. So that's kind of where my opinion comes from, saying that like the more RNG you add, the stronger the defenses become.
Right.
So fixing their AI is kind of like a shadow nerf to that idea of unpredictability. But I do see the validity of your side. I don't agree with it. I think we're just agreeing to disagree at this point.
True. But it's just I'm thinking like. Go ahead.
I want to know what you guys think though. I'm curious because like Brian and
I think it doesn't have to be black and white. I think for some units, like it really does need for them to be viable on defense. There really does need to be skill prioritization. That's why I only said like. I only listed like a couple different like units and categories, like strippers, for example, should strip because that's like the first thing that enables like your whole defense to function. And if they're derping, then it kind of throws off everything, and that's kind of it limits the possibilities of defenses. I feel like already defense possibilities are limited, especially in Guild War settings. So I think it doesn't have to be like let's overhaul all the AI so everything uses its third skill or proper heal or cleanse at the right time. But, at least for some, there should be some tweaking and manual override.
I agree with that.
I think the unpredictability factor is what makes a lot of defenses OP. Literally the Kamoon, Bastet, Odin defense. Like, you're like, yeah, I know how this works. I know how it goes. I brought in the perfect counter, but Bastet hit the skill too early. Kamoon, Vile proc like 2-shot your unit that was defense broken by Bastet, and then you're winning team, it's gone and you lose. Like it's just like, oh, I guess I'm fucked today, and like that's just how it works, you know. And like you're trying desperately to offset. Yeah, they did. That literally happened to me pre-podcast. Pre-podcast. Yeah.
I guess I'm starting to see it more than So I think what Invictus says is pretty true. I think it's case by case then on some of the units, definitely. That should be tweaked up. But yeah, I guess I do like the unpredictability. As much as toxic as it can be sometimes when you battle against it, that unpredictability is tough. Definitely very tough. All right, any last minute comments on this topic here, as well as any last minute units that you really think need to change?
Please fix Tashar's third.
Who?
Tashar, oh good god.
Please fix his third so you can clear, time limit in Labyrinth a bit quicker.
Can they just give it the conditional AI that the Purees have?
Can they just give it an AI like X amount of units on the field, prioritize this S3? I don't know. if there's only 1 or 2, maybe it should prioritize 1, 2 then. If there's
Well,
more
it doesn't
than
matter.
3,
It doesn't matter
then
though, because 3 resets if you kill, so it should just always prioritize skill 3. There's no reason why you would ever not use
True.
skill 3 unless it's one target. If it's one target, you use skill 2 because it does more damage.
True. Well, I would even be happy if it was like 1 and 2, it uses skill 1, 2, right? 1 and 2 targets. 3 or more, it uses S3. I mean, at least there's that, right? There's that. So we talked about reliability on AIs for PvP, but also there's that PvE aspect as well, right? That's pretty important to making dungeons stable. Like, why do I need to rely on RNG to see if I complete my dungeon runs, man? I like built my team to work cohesively, and I'm losing because the AI is derping. Like, damn, kind of sucks, right?
The rune requirements, I feel like, go way down when you fix all the AI, because you have to build monsters to be strong enough to survive past that derp. You know, like you have to account for that.
True. Actually, true. Wow, these are actually some pretty good counter topics and ideas about the AI improvement. So maybe these are some of the things that CompToUs has tested or thought about as well, right?
I think we really just need it for PvE. I think PvE AI improvements would be really. So okay, there's a couple reasons why I think this. The first reason why I think PvE improvements for AI would be most beneficial is because having better PvE AI is really important when your runes are weaker. And the reason for that is because it allows you to build teams properly and not have to rely on, jank mechanics like having an early violent unit or, building units with weird speeds and stuff like that. So like new players, when they start playing the game and they get into giants and dragons and TOA, their AI is easier so they can progress a little bit faster.
Yep.
No, I agree.
I think it causes it creates a better sense of, I guess, hold for people when they start playing the game. They play the game and then they want to continue playing the game because it's good.
You'd have to also try and not make things too stale at the top then. Like, I don't want, like, perfect AI, completely predictable siege defenses that I'm fighting every single time, because then, like...
That's why I said, PvE specifically, because I think the PvE units are very well... Like, especially the early game PvE units are very well distinguished compared to, like, everything else in the game.
Fair enough.
Right, so, like, a Shannon or a Megan or, a Bernard... Darian, blah blah blah, stuff like that.
Everybody made those units fun of me when I was early game and I 6-star my Shannon. They said you can do it on 5-star. All right, fine.
You can just do it. Just do whatever you want. Everyone plays the game their own way.
I tell people that all the time, man. People get stuck up so much on having to play a game a certain way, dude. Like they lose the fun in it. They lose the enjoyability. They lose the exploration aspect of the game, right? When they don't play it their way. That's why I always state, it is my opinion. This is my opinion. This is my opinion, right? When people ask me certain things.
It would have driven me insane to have a team of all level 40s and one level 35. Just like I'm that anal that I would, like, no matter what. Like, if it was never lost, I still would have 6-starred. It would drive me freaking crazy.
I always ask people when they ask for advice is, what do you want from this? Do you want to be extremely efficient or do you want to play the game and have fun?
Right.
Because I think it's important to make that distinction, because some people just want to do whatever, but they still want advice on.
The precursor question to that, asking for advice, is: do you want to hear what I think, or do you want to hear what you want to hear?
I can't say that to people anymore. It sounds way too sarcastic to say that to somebody.
There's so many people though that ask for advice. Oh, all right, you can ask me and I'll tell you.
Yeah, they always do that. They'll be like, "So, do you think I should do this or this?" And then you'll be like, "Oh, I think this," and they're like, "What? But this is like way better, dude. Like what? Like,
Yeah.
whoa! Wait, you asked my opinion, bro. I just give you my opinion, and you can build whatever you like, bro. You can do whatever you like, bro. I just give you my opinion, okay?" You're not wrong.
It's better to say that the reason I don't ask that question is because I like to have that conversation after the fact. So like if someone turns around and says, "Well, this person said this," I'm like, "Okay, well, that's not my opinion. So, where did you get this opinion from? What's the validity of it?" And I like discussing like that.
Yeah,
I like
but that's
hearing other people's logic.
That's good though. That's the way things are figured out. That's the way, things are discovered. It's through that. So
I just dislike people so much in general anyway, that if it's like one of the rare moments that I'm gonna actually give you my opinion, and I discover that like you didn't actually want my opinion and you wasted somebody else's time, that like the 1 in 10 that asked me a question that I actually am like, this is the answer that I think, if you actually didn't need to hear what I thought, strangle you, go away. No, go away.
Hey, at least you're real with it.
You
man.
ruined it for the other 9.
Yeah, you're real with it though.
Hey, but just if you're wondering, you out there, you're not one of the ones I don't like. It's okay.
Yeah, he likes everybody except for everybody. Does that make sense? He likes everybody except for everybody. It's one of those.
If you're wondering if it's you that I dislike, no, it's
No, he dislikes all of you exactly the same. Don't worry.
All right, moving on. Oh, go ahead.
I think that's a better way to. I mean, for me, that's a better way to like converse with people. I like hearing their opinions, so that way I can see where they come from. Otherwise, it's hard to like teach people if they want to learn something. Right? You can't just like force your views on people. You have to see where they come from, and then either adapt their current view or just give them an option.
You cannot. What was it? Avatar from Avatar. She said you cannot fill a cup that is already full.
But you can dump it out and then like refill it. All right. So
You
if you're
can
gonna
do that
come, if you're gonna come to me for water, dump your
Wait a
cup
second.
out and then come to me. I'll fill it for you.
And let them
So
choose
according
which
to
cup they want.
I'm just kidding.
Kill you, resurrect you, and hopefully re-educate you. IslandGrown's a necromancer, everybody. Watch out.
Nah, but I've learned a lot of things from my community as well, right? People coming in with opinions and questions, and I've learned a lot of things too. Where I was like, oh, I think this is opinion, but then after that, I'll be like, oh, wait a minute, that actually makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I actually learned as well at the same time, and I'm sure we all do as well every day.
I mean, except for those of us that already know absolutely everything.
Exactly. There are
Just
some people
Roman.
that know
Literally
everything.
just Roman.
All right, moving on to topic number 3 here. That was a good topic. I think there are definitely some things that can be changed for the AI or something that they can look into, right? One thing I will take it back to is, you know, how they answered questions from the community. I would like one of these questions or one of these to be the questions and to have kind of a response on, you know, what they've done so far with the AI and some of the thought process of changing some of the AIs that are currently not working the way we think it should be working, right? But right, moving on to topic number 3 here. This is something that I've been hearing about, and we've been hearing about for a while. A little bit of a controversial topic, but I like a spicy.
I like controversy.
I like a controversy. It's spicy. What do you know about the RTA botting? Right, I don't actually know a whole lot about it. I heard there are people that do RTA bots where it will like do the RTA for them and pick and stuff, and they're like, oh, that's a bot.
What's the point? How do you? I can't even win if it's me in control. What are you talking about?
Exactly. But people are doing it to farm points, is what people are saying, and they'll do it in like a lower rank so they can farm points. And what do you know about botting in general? I heard there's also people that try to bot in terms of like farming dungeons as well, right? What knowledge do you know, and what do you think about this?
I know how the bot works.
Okay.
I've never actually seen one in person, but I've been leaked a couple videos from different servers about how they work and stuff. I had someone in the China server explain to me like as it was going through how it worked, because it's all in Chinese and I can't read Chinese. I can't read at all. So the bot is actually nuts. This thing can shop refresh for you. It can do your arena and your rivals in between dungeon runs. It can leave an R5 group for you and start a new one.
No fucking like. I don't care if it's like.
No, I'm 100% serious.
No, I believe you. I don't
serious.
care if it's like black and white 2+2. This is fine. It's foolproof. Whatever. There's literally nothing worth risking like the investment.
True. I mean I agree with that opinion as well.
I don't know of anybody who's been banned for using it.
I would be the first. I'm just saying.
I've never heard of anybody getting banned for botting.
Really?
I have.
So this bot is really good then. It's like really smart, which I don't doubt. You know what I mean? With technology
the
nowadays.
Bot basically just farms for you, and then you set like sell conditions on it. I don't know. I can never take you seriously when you do that.
Somebody asked for it, so y'all get a little titty girl. There you go.
We can't even see what the Pokemon that is. Oh, it's a trainer card.
Yeah, that's not a trainer. I don't know what game this is.
Oh, that's lewd. Wait a minute.
Oh my god, dude, Monka.
Wait a minute. That's a shiny right there, isn't
That's
it?
not a Pokemon card, I'll tell you that. That's the he playing some kind of different card game there.
It's Weiss Schwartz.
Oh, that's a shit Schwartz.
Oh, sponsored by that. Look at that. How many people just went to go buy those packs?
Jengen, where are you? I know you're watching.
I'll continue though, Tyler.
So yeah, it also can do the bot proof test for energy refreshes.
She's so distracted
because the bots just read your screen and then it goes by color coding, right? It's not super difficult to do that. And also once it runs through enough times of like all the iterations of it, it basically just saves a database of all the image files and then picks accordingly. Doesn't make any difference that it's black and white, by the way. It makes it easier for, it probably makes it exactly the same for the bot and harder for actual people.
All right, so let me ask you. Yeah, sometimes I actually answer that wrong, but so like they have this botting question that apparently the bot can answer though, but the botting question where you need to answer to refill your energy, but
you can fail it indefinitely as well, and it doesn't matter.
Oh,
No,
really?
not. Well, I mean, I know somebody that got detected for their bot because it failed to answer the question so many times.
Maybe it was too fast, but I've
Possibly.
definitely sat through it, looked at the thing, and said, I'm gonna fail this until it like does something to me, and it does nothing. I literally just tapped the wrong thing on the screen over
Banned.
I get terrified.
to see if it
I
would ban
tapped
me.
that thing wrong. Like
I did. I
either
tapped it
once,
wrong
I'm
as
like,
many times as I could to
fucked.
see if it would ban me or like kick me off the game for like 10 minutes or something. Nothing.
It terrifies me.
I think what it does is if you answer incorrectly somehow, some way, they have a certain measure for it, a certain amount of times or certain speed. I think it just will send a ping to the server, so they just get a
It also
notification.
makes me wonder if like
check your account.
we are listed for that kind of stuff, where they're like, they're probably not cheating.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it just pings it so they can look into it. That's what I think it does. I don't
Yeah,
think it
then they
bans you
check
right
how
away.
many LD5s you have, and they see 0. Oh, this guy's not hacking.
No, leave that vibes. He's not a cheater.
True.
Oh, you gotta
True.
like that, Andrew, I'm already dead inside. Come on.
I'm only saying because
I'm already dead. Why did you have to kill me again?
Don't worry.
Oh my god.
I was killed by my fellow non-LDNAT5 owner. How does that feel?
Wait, you don't have an LDNet 5, Invictus? You do, right?
Nope.
Well, oh, I thought you just had one that was just bad. Because you know there's a lot of people that.
No, I probably earned it for pressing Untitled for it.
He doesn't have one either. We just don't have them.
No, because you know some people they say they don't have one, but it's just because they have one that's like super bad, like a Shazam or something. They have one, that's laying around. I thought you guys had
I'm
something.
not arguing with people that says like, no, you have John, you have.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say a Shazam laying around that's really fucking bad?
All right, relax. I know, relax.
Wait!
Sir.
I've got the list. Where's the list?
Bro,
man?
you got some buffs in the last one, bro.
I got a Jaeger
Relax.
buff.
Hey,
I'm
don't you have
pretty
a
okay
Sigma as
with
well?
the Jaeger buff. I don't have a Sigma.
Yeah, you got a
Do we
Jaeger
have to
buff.
do we have to bring up Laura?
I've got no. Thompson's not
Thompson's
here.
sake?
Don't worry about
Thompson's
it.
sake?
Wait, you have a Jaeger? You're fine. You're fine.
I have a
fine.
Jaeger. Yeah. Now that's a you're fine. Like before, I'm still with my Zerath and my Trinity and the Bay and my Shazam,
Man, I really
my
want
two Shans.
Hey, one day Trinity could be really scary.
I
I'm
want a
ready.
Trinity.
I'm
I'm
fucking ready.
just run JP Cleave with Trinity.
You know what they're gonna do with Trinity, right? It's gonna be an AoE strip that puts defense break if it strips into 30% damage.
Perfect.
Wow, Daphnis, Pog.
That
AoE Daphnis with a speed lead. Hell yeah.
would be nuts,
I
dude.
always wanted
Hashtag
another
Lance.
Daphnis. I always wanted to add more problems to the RTA scene, not fix any of them.
Okay, so going back to this botting topic real quick. The next topic will be, of course, about buffs and nerfs and RTA and whatnot. What do you think about this botting then? Because this is something that I don't like the fact that there's people botting out there that are not getting detected. Right? I'm bringing it up because if Comptuous is going to ban accounts that abuse the LD what happened, which was the other podcast that we discussed that. I think botting is definitely something that needs to be looked at as well, right? I mean, why are you guys even botting to begin with? Like, Jesus, like, I know you're busy with life, but bro, if you're not gonna play the game, then why you playing the game, bro? Right?
Wait, so there's 2
Yeah,
points you
everybody
just
else
made.
doesn't hire a farmer these days.
Yeah.
There's 2 points you just made. One, you said the hacking LDs, and then 2, you talked about why people bought. I think the first one, there's a notable difference between this, like using a macro system or like a botting system to play the game for you versus actually editing the packets of the game. You've literally hacked the code for the game and you're abusing it and exploiting it.
True.
You're
It's
also-
more severe.
You're also
You're right.
gaining things without spending anything.
True.
Right?
Correct. Yeah.
For the botting system, one, you're spending a shit ton more. You're probably spending at minimum 3k crystals a day if you're running it for a long period of time. Realistically, if you ran like 25 to 30 second runs, including load time, including swapping back to do rivals, checking shop, and all those things, then you're probably running 2.5 to 3.5k crystals for like a 16 to 20 hour run consistent.
Right.
So it does make them a fair amount of money as well.
True.
And then the other thing, the other aspect of it is that it doesn't actually touch the game files at all. it basically plays the game as if it was your finger.
I remember there was a guy in one of my, like, before I joined, while still in a farming guild, there was a guy that was going to quit. And he started, like, I don't know if it was also a bot or something, but he basically did this thing where he could make, like, we saw him do clears of things in that he should never have been able to do. We were in farming guild and he was clearing TOA hard, and didn't even have hardly any 6 stars. And he did this thing where he could make the monsters attack themselves.
So that
and he got banned like super quick.
That is so the way dungeon runs work, I'm not sure how many people know this, but it's you send a ping to the server when you enter the run, and then it disconnects, and then it sends a ping to the server when you finish the run and tells the server what you got, basically, or the server tells you what you got, basically.
Oh, so it doesn't.
That's why when you DC. Well, yeah, that's why when you like DC because your internet's really bad, it says, do you want to send the battle completion notice? Because if you don't, then you don't get anything, right? You have to send that ping back to the server for it to say you cleared the run. Let's give them the reward. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
So from that's where we got all the damage hacks and everything, because it's client-sided, not server-sided. All the runs specifically are client-sided. So you can damage hack it. You can change the file. You can do whatever you want, basically. You can make the game kill it like you said. You can make monsters kill themselves.
Yeah, that's wild. I feel like I saw an RTA replay one time where Diana form shifted and then could chain S2. Like, never had to shift back. Just
yes. Sometimes you see that. It's very rare because most of those people that cheat for that kind of stuff try to hide it really hard.
Yeah, that's wild. I feel like that's just like you'd be instantly gone. Like, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
So I joined a guild a couple months ago. I think this was maybe right before I joined us.
There's a guild that lets you in without an LD.5? Wow.
I know, right? I know, right? It was actually it was a farming guild. But what was interesting to me was that in this farming guild, we didn't clear the mini bosses in lab at all, right? So what their strategy was to do all of lab and do Tartarus on normal or easy to clear it. Mm-hmm. And there was a player in the guild that consistently cleared Tartarus on hell every single day.
With all the things up?
All the bosses up. And I have screenshots of all of his monsters. His Wusaw is like 22 KHP, 180 speed on Swift. His Kamoon is like 15 or 17 KHP with no crit rate, no defense, no crit damage, plus 60 speed. I was like, this guy's actually cheating. And I reported it at the time. I had reported it with screenshots and all the clears and everything. I'd made a video to send to come to us about it. And they were like, yeah, this guy's actually like cheating. He has been, and they banned him in the guild. Like I watched him disappear.
I wonder how many people they ban on the daily for that, because it seems like something that they don't really have something.
So blatant.
It makes me feel weird though that Tyler had to point that out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how many things like just go under the, you know, like you had to something that clearly couldn't happen, and you had to be like.
The thing that didn't make sense to me was that he would brag about it all the time. Like,
it seems to be the downfall of a lot of players that do things that are bad.
I wouldn't have even looked into it because I just don't care. But he would brag. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, Tartarus is so easy. They're so good." So one day I was like, "You know what? I'm not doing anything. I'm just waiting like half an hour before I gotta go somewhere. I'm just gonna look through his roots." So I looked through his roots. I'm like, "What is this shit?" And then he's got an Oberon. He's got an Oberon in there for some reason.
Dragon shit got banned.
Dude, right? These guys
opening your mouth, being.
I was like, why would you cheat and then go around and brag to everyone so that they can know you're cheating?
It's like, bro, I just robbed the bank. Bro, I just robbed the bank. I got $1 million, bro. Check this out. Hello?
To their friends.
Like, I'm not out here like looking through all my guildies like, oh my god, I wonder if this guy's cheating. I wonder if this guy's cheating. No, this guy was an asshole. He just bragged to everyone about like, oh, I can't believe you guys can't do Tartarus. You guys are fucking noobs. I'm over here like, dude, I do Tartarus. I can't do Tartarus with 300% attack. That shit's way too hard. And he's just like easy clearing it in like 10 minutes. I'm like, how? How did you beat that? With the team that you brought in too. I still have all the screenshots if you want to see the runes.
You know what's crazy is I think Comtuous is probably looking at, you know, some of the bigger issues that are going on and trying to fix a lot of big problems, but I think they probably are banning these guys. And I don't know, do you feel like you're super worried about these guys though that are using these damage hacks? Because obviously they're playing and they know they're gonna get banned at some point. Right, and you can never really make it to anywhere satisfying with it, even if, let's say, you damage hack, right? Because anywhere satisfying, eventually you could get caught, right? So
I mean, yes,
I feel like it's
yes and no.
lose-lose for them, right? What is
There's
your
a yes
thoughts?
and no to your question. So your
Okay.
question was, do you think it's worth it? Yes, it is worth it, because at
Really?
any level, allowing people to cheat undermines the system, and it undermines the.
Oh no, that was no,
undermines
worth it to the player. I'm talking about the player here. Like, is it
I
even
mean,
worth it for him to play? Yeah,
the player doesn't matter. The player,
Exactly.
the player's cheating. They don't care at all.
Right.
They have no indication that they care about what's going on. They are cheating.
Right.
Right? People don't cheat because they're like, oh, maybe I can get away with it. They cheat because they're like, I don't give a shit.
Tell me that in college. Okay, and sorry, keep going now. Oh my
I
God.
took a geography class.
Yes, I do think it's
I hit
worthwhile.
a mini map inside a Doritos bag in college, like, and I had a little mini map, and I had the Doritos bag propped up on my like Powerade or something, and I was just like,
What college you go to? I'm calling up your college, bro.
Right?
Let me know.
That worked. I thought that was the stupidest thing in the world, but it
Oh,
actually
man.
worked.
Oh, look at this. Another person bragging about cheating. Look at this guy over here.
I remember when I was in my first year of university, there's this kid in my class who used to print his notes on this like tiny little piece of paper, and he would attach it to his water bottle as the nutrition facts.
Oh yeah, people.
Oh,
that was his
the
cheat
water
sheet.
bottle labels.
We're always
That
the
was
thing.
his cheat sheet, yeah. So
Yeah.
then the next year, I was always wondering why they made the rule that you couldn't, like, that you had to have unwrapped water bottles or just no water bottles.
Yeah.
And it made me laugh because then I realized at the end of the year that's why, because that guy was cheating with it.
Also, the calculators, the graphing calculators.
You can type
People
stuff.
just
We were forced to
People
clear
just
them.
write the formulas in. They'll put paragraphs of text in there and like the history.
We were forced to clear ours every single time. So it was like none of us even
We
bothered.
just were allowed to-
People know which professors were relaxed about it. That was the thing.
Oh, all our exams. So what happens is when you walk in, they check your ID and then they reset your calculator.
That's
So like
fine.
you just can't have anything.
I think one of the things I felt dirty for doing was apparently there was one class that I had that the professor always used pretty much the same quizzes and exams every year. So one of my friends had a friend who already did the class, and he had all the
One of his
exams.
friends.
Yeah, friends, and I was like, bro, that's like cheating. But what's the questions though? You know, so we got to kind of see the questions first, which was kind of, yeah, I don't know. I think that's a user, I mean, administrative error there, not a student error. Just saying, right? We just being smart, studying.
we had a crazy German teacher that was like, she's like, okay, here's your quiz. I'm going to leave the room, and answers are at the desk, but please be good and don't look.
I like that
She was
one.
crazy. She was.
What?
No. That was the thing though. Like literally, like if you had to take one time we all did like a group presentation, and then she was like, "All right, we'd vote on everybody's grade. Like all the people that were popular got like A's. Like, or if you had to do a makeup test with her, you could take it at lunchtime, and then if you brought her food, like you'd be like, you get a 50 plus
Was she
50.
just, like, technically
Thanks for the
weird?
pizza. No, she was just crazy. She was just crazy.
That's so weird.
So to go back to it, I said there were two things, right, Brian? The first one
Right.
was that it's important to report things that people who cheat because
I
it
agree.
reminds of the game. The controversial opinion to that, though, on the other side is I think it's also important to cheat in games. I think it's important that there are people who cheat in games and people who hack games. And the reason for that, please don't flame me for this, chat. The reason for that is because it keeps the game accountable. It forces the game to improve and adapt by like working towards blocking out these people who exploit and blocking out people who cheat, and also figuring out what in their code allows them to cheat. I think it's really, really good for the game and good for, tech industry in general.
If it's addressed. If it's not addressed,
True.
that's unhealthy.
I mean, if it's not addressed, the game generally will go down.
So
which
exactly.
it
So
should.
it's like a
That's
balance.
the whole laissez-faire kind of like approach to it. Is the game will regulate itself, the players will regulate the game. If the players don't regulate,
Ideally, yeah.
I mean, if we demand something that makes sense and the company doesn't want to go with it, then most likely either we're really, really unreasonable or the game will just go down because it's something that has to happen, right? Remember when people were getting hacked like crazy? You got hacked, Brian.
Yeah,
Remember?
no, that's what I was gonna bring up, right? That's one of the things
that's
they
exactly
improved.
it.
OTP
Like,
is
that
not how it
was-
was before. Exactly.
Yeah, that was a huge step in the history of like Com2Us's development in terms of community relations and understanding their accountability, right?
Yeah, most of these things
They
have come about as a
had to
result
learn
of people
so
cheating has improved
fast.
the game.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, people don't often give enough credit to, I think, game companies, maybe
So-
mobile games more specifically, but
In
I think they
summary,
do
Once
try their
Love
best.
supports cheating, guys.
Yep. What's love supports cheating.
Yep.
He
Yes,
thinks cheating
That's,
is
that's
good.
gonna be the
accept
fucking 10-second intro to
responsibility.
this video, isn't it?
That's what he condones. Yeah, that's going to be the title of today's podcast.
Good God.
Content creators, someone who content creators support cheating. That's that. How many views do you think I'm gonna get? I'm like 100,000 views on this podcast here. But yeah, so going back to the main topic again with the body and body in general, looks like there are some things going on. So I think CompToUsh, I mean, I hope they're aware. I mean, I'm sure they're probably aware. So, figure out more ways to detect these things and, get these accounts, get these cheaters banned and continually improve their game and the programming software aspect of, Summoner's War would be really, really nice. That's the main point of bringing this up. The second portion to the question is improving RTA. So this main question was going to kind of revolve and kind of circle around again with the botting in RTA, because people do the bot in RTA, so they get farmed and they don't really enjoy RTAs, or it takes a really long time. What suggestions can you suggest for RTA improvements? Right, I think you had a topic for that.
Is this discussion of just like RTA changes, or is it still focused on like the bot?
I'm gonna open it up to RTA changes, buffs, nerfs, and just general open discussion. We're just gonna go right to that for the next 15-30 minutes. Go ahead.
So I mean, just a couple of things. Like I made a list of some stuff. Like keep introducing, like the 2A system is like really good, but not just 2As, just in general. When they release new Nat Force, like keep introducing viable units and Guardian and tournament meta, like with Guardian and tournament meta potential that aren't gated behind a paywall. Introducing floors for ranks, so you can't fall behind a certain rank from like once you achieve a certain rank mid-season, and also from your previous season. Weekly rewards, like. Just keep saying this because it should happen eventually, because seasons are so long and you don't get your effort. But a weekly reward can be something small, or improved end of season rewards from a pool of rewards like immemorials, Nat 4 Devils, room boxes, some crystal rewards. Cap tourney matches to only one L&D Nat 5 of each element per player. That's something.
Just ideas.
Instead of that, just have custom rules, just custom rule sets and tournament settings.
Anything else? I just let you throw it all out, and then we'll just pick at some of those topics. Or you had some good ones.
Yeah. More frequent and quicker balancing, but I think it's something we all agree on, right? Like if there's a problem unit, like don't wait for like the big patch. Like there should be, like the Twins nerf. I mean, I don't agree with the way it was like right before SWC, but like, and I mean, it kind of isn't like a Twins nerf because that was like a year after the problem already was created. But just be quicker if there's really a problem unit. Accuracy resistance mechanics, that needs to be more transparent and something that has to, because that's one of the biggest things that irritating. And I get RNG exists, but like it really can throw matches.
You want to know from their end how it works. Okay, I think that's a fair question.
And they say before that they play with it, and it's not exactly the way that we mathematically calculate it. But also, I think it could be open improvements, like maybe, for example, allowing you to exceed 100 accuracy. So that way it actually becomes more of a valuable stat on some units. And if you go over above 100, you can now exceed that like 15% minimum threshold that people have. So you can always make sure you're going to land a skill. That's just an example of like a way they could change it. But
okay.
That's basically my ideas.
Okay, I like those. That's actually a bunch of topics that we can pick at. Anybody? Did you like any of that stuff that stood out to you? Go ahead.
I think one of the ones that I was going to bring up was going to be around the capped ranking. So Andrew already touched base on it. So if you hit a certain rank the season before, you cannot go below a certain rank next season. So for example, if you hit, let's say, G1, you shouldn't go below C1 or C2, whatever it may be. So you're hard stuck at C1, C2 amount of points. You can't fight people below that rank. What that
fight
people
below.
doing is farming.
Okay.
Sorry?
I thought you meant drop below, and I was like,
No.
Fight below. Yeah. Okay.
So what that means is you can't actually go down to like fighter ranks, farm for 2.5 or 2 months, whatever it is, and then push for your rank, push for Guardian again in the last month to lock in your rank for the skin. So it means you either decide if you want to farm or you want to push for cosmetics. You can't really have best of both worlds.
Okay, I like that. That definitely deterring from the people farming is a big thing, because I really want to get more people in our RT, and a lot of people, the biggest complaint is getting destroyed by Smurfs, right? Getting destroyed by people just farming, and that really sucks, man. You don't want to play a game where you spend you allocate an hour to play, and almost the whole time you're just getting like destroyed, right? You're not having fun at all. Right? You gotta win some, you gotta have some fair matches, right? Even if you lose, if it's fair, it's a good match. I think what Invictus said about a weekly reward system would be something that could also kind of pat this idea of people not farming, where it doesn't have to be a big reward, or maybe it can add up to something that you get up at the end of the season. But whatever your weekly RTA rank is will factor in, and you get something for it, just like Arena, right? Not something big.
It should give you points and/or transmog stones.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
Cosmetic.
so
It has to be cosmetic. It can't be anything that like really gives you a huge advantage. Like if you get points, you can buy like a couple scrolls a week, but I don't think that's a huge advantage.
Right. But do you think that'll really help a lot though? Now that I think about it even more, because people will just drop and then go up and then drop and then go up. But I guess it's not easy if it's from Guardian and dropping a lot further down, right? So I'm not sure. But I think
it would be an implementation of multiple systems. One specific thing isn't going to solve all our issues, right?
True.
The way we have to look at it. Sorry, the way I look at it is, here's where we are and here's where we want to be. However we get there, it doesn't really matter as much, but we need to have that end goal in mind, right? We always suggest these things of like, we should do this to get there, we should do this to get there, we should do this to get there. But if we don't actually like hard set know where that end goal is, can we really? We end up just talking about arbitrary numbers for things, and it doesn't really have too much merit.
Well, the end goal is more participation. Like, is our end goal that we've decided is more participation in RTA as like people's main like thing that they're aiming towards?
Maybe I miscommunicated what I meant to say. I meant more of a quantitative end goal. Like, we want people to get this at the end of every week for like these rewards, and it would deter these things. Not necessarily we want more people to participate. We should that should be a goal that's kept in mind. But I meant more like from the analytics and the number side of things. Like, what do we actually want to balance out the rewards to be so they're reasonable and worth getting?
I mean, if you look at Arena, like Arena has what I'm rushing for G3 Arena, which takes an hour and is not even that. It's not even that many to do it these days, but it's 500 crystals for like an hour and a half. And then you do RTA, which is like 30 wings a day, 7 days a week. If you're doing like each session does like 2 to 3 hours, and you get nothing for it besides like 8. Like I can probably get like 9 scrolls if I'm doing all my wings for the week. It's kind of imbalance in effort.
I think they've done that on purpose though, because if you compare, let's say, as you said, G3 in Arena, you get 500 crystals versus a Fighter 3 who might only walk away. I don't know what they get. I think it's like 50 or 100. The difference is that RTA is focused purely on the cosmetic side, and it doesn't force you to have to play RTA because it doesn't help you actually progress your account. Versus content like Arena, which has all the flags that it pushes you to complete to make your account stats or whatever. Like, it helps your account progression. So I think that's where it kind of differentiates. I think they need to, if they want RTA to be the thing to aim for, they need to make it a bit clearer about, like, give us more reasons to have to do it. Because right now it feels like, well, yeah, you got 3.5 months or whatever it may be to get to whatever rank you want to, and this is the reward you get. Like, there's going to be something in between. I feel it's missing something in between to keep you motivated to keep going from earlier on.
Right, that makes sense.
You know, one of the biggest motivations I think is, the end rewards still suck. The 3-month end rewards are still not good.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I played every single day for the first month, and then I just got really, really bored.
I mean, I'm at that point. It's like, especially since I don't have any new units, man. I
felt like I was forcing myself to play. And then that's such a bad mentality. That put me in such a bad mental state for like probably 2.5 weeks. And like during that time, I was also away, like visiting friends. So it was just extra jarring for me to sit there and be like, why am I forcing myself to play this game?
Yeah, no, I feel you.
You know?
That goes back to the point system that they implemented how many seasons ago, right? Where it's now based upon, doing your wings, 30 wings a day, right? You no longer can just
Yeah, I mean, Andrew will never get top 10 if he doesn't play every single day.
Exactly.
Right.
You need to play every single day because everybody else is playing every single day. But I think to the extent of where Invictus is at the top, Andrew, I think it's not unreasonable because everybody up there is doing the same thing. I think it's definitely something that's pertinent in a lot of other games as well, right? Being competitive at the top, at the very, very top. But I think there is a certain threshold or balance prior to that where people are feeling that kind of, that just to hold this rank, they have to play so much. So I don't know if it's relative. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's more relative to people that are like in probably like G1, G2, C3, where it's like if you happen to get matched with like a top and there's an imbalance of like 2 ranks or 3 ranks, and then you only get like 7 points for beating somebody that's way above you, like rune wise, maybe monster wise, draft wise. And then you're feeling like, oh, I only got 6 or 7 points for beating somebody that's like, for all this effort you get like nothing. So that's where I see most of that concern comes from. Is people that are in the ranks, but balancing ranks and getting.
Yeah, and thing is, there is still an imbalance in rank, and I think, can we still agree on the idea that we brought up before, where I don't mind sitting in a queue a little bit longer, right, for a more balanced match? Like, is it fair to say that? Like, I'm down to sit in the queue, right, for 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I mean, I actually might be able to use your functionality of going into my rune box that you have implemented while waiting for queue. Like, why do we have to queue in every 10 seconds, 30 seconds, right? Like, the queue can be a couple minutes. I don't mind. I mean, can be patient while I check my runes and my monsters at the same time, right? So longer queues. Like, maybe if you don't want to make an extent of making it super, super close, tight-knit matchmaking, make it a little bit tighter in the matchmaking. I think that's one of the issues that we constantly bring up, is the matchmaking right now is it's not fair, right? People that are high ranked don't want to fight low ranks because they lose a lot of points, right? If they lose, and people at low ranks fight high ranks, when they win, they don't get an insane amount of points either, so it's not fair. So,
well, not everyone cares about the points either. The points are only relevant at high ranks. So when you're high rank and you're losing, you're literally losing 4 matches. When you're in like a lower, so if you're a G3 player losing to a G1 or like a C3, like there's an actual possibility that you lose, because RNG. People's runes are good enough. People's runes are good enough that they can actually beat you, right? But like when you're like a G1 player and you queue like a C2, you're like, okay, we won. And then the C2 player is like, why did I get queued against that guy? This is bullshit. So like at high ranks, it's like really frustrating to be the higher end player, and then at lower ranks, it's really frustrating to be the lower end player, because those lower end players are like, finally climbing, I'm almost there, I'm gonna get my wings, and then they just get clapped.
I still feel that way even when I hit G1. I feel that way when I get matched up with how to play. I'm like, fuck. Fuck!
Like,
why am I getting matched up with how to play? Fuck!
I'm gonna steal that guy's points. I need Andrew to be a higher rank. I have to win.
Yeah, the answer when you pull, like if you pull how to play, then all you do is you think, okay, I'm gonna lose a couple of points if I lose, but if I win, it's plenty. So I'm gonna pick the most RNG units possible, and that's all you do. You draft your Verg, your Lauren, your Diana, and then you just like
you draft Garo every single time against.
Draft your most RNG possible units. That's
just an example, though. But it's still relative. That's what my argument is. It's still relative in G1 and G3. But I know what you mean by G1 and C2. Yeah, that gap more so for sure. So I think the matchmaking, like I said, ending needs to get some kind of difference. If you're not gonna change the point system, if you're not gonna do anything or take any suggestions that we have, that make the matchmaking a little bit closer, a little bit more tight knit. That's fine. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be a lot more viable. It's going to make people enjoy the RTAs a lot more, for sure. Right.
So I was kind of drafting some stuff I've been traveling a lot, so I've been in the airport just kind of bored. So I've been drafting like different ideas for like weekly rewards. Monster Bait actually brought up something that was very similar to what I thought. But
yeah,
when
he brings up some very good topics. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was flying home from Atlanta, I actually thought about, instead of giving like specific rewards for like doing certain amount of RTA per day, what I thought about is, so we have 210 RTA wings a week, right? So what if we had staged rewards for doing certain amounts of RTA in a week? So let's say you do 10 wings in a week, you get a box that has a random reward. Right, the reward comes between.
Make sure you're not just queuing and throwing or queuing and quitting, though.
But here's the thing: all the rewards would be strictly cosmetic, right?
But that would accelerate people farming. It would have to be
just queue quit.
It would have to be wings and win rate above reasonable amount.
But you also have to consider that if you are throwing, you're adding points to the ecosystem, which deals with the issue of the 1900 wall. So there are two sides to that.
And the wall's still there.
Which one is the lesser of two evils is the question, right? Now we're past the point where G2 is well past 1900, so like holding G2 is very reasonable and very easy to do. You can actually start pushing from G2 towards that top 300 rank because you don't lose as much to other people who are above 1900. right? So you kind of have to look at it both ways. It's like, which one to you is the lesser of two evils? For those of you who are unfamiliar with the 1900 wall, once you cross 1900 points, you start losing a ton of points to people below 1900. So if you're like 1950 and you lose to someone who's like 1850, you're losing 13 points or 12 points or whatever. If you lose to somebody above 1900, you're losing like 3 or 4 points maybe. So the matches end up being like 3-1 in terms of point loss ratio.
I don't know. I don't want to reward people purely on number of matches completed.
So I mean, as much as I want to agree with like what Frank said, there is like reward people on number of matches they won.
I don't want to do
just
that.
Catering. You're just catering to the top end, right? I think maybe it should be a consideration of both. Like, if you get this many wins and you've used this many wings.
So what about this, Tyler? I think you raise a good point around the box system at the end of each week. What about if it's a box quality based on your current rank? So you're a Guardian rank. You got like a triple S box.
I mean, that doesn't solve the issue of farming.
Conqueror.
You could have a separate weekly.
I agree. Like that was what I thought too.
So a good example is one of my like longtime good friends did 80 wings the last 3 days, I think, and went from nothing to G2. So like it really doesn't take much to climb from, let's say, like C1, C2 all the way back up to Guardian again, like every single week.
But why would somebody drop back down though? Is the question. I feel like
easy wins, easy points.
It's crazy how quickly you can climb. Like I was saying,
you can climb really, really fast. If you're running JP Cleave specifically, it's actually really, really easy to climb because your rune quality very quickly determines what rank you're. If you have 310 speed sets, you're guaranteed to get G2.
Imagine you dropping down Invictus and you're guaranteed once you drop down to this point, it's like Invictus, you're just gonna play against C2s.
Yeah. Like if you were where I am, Andrew, you would just beat everybody.
There's that many people that did that. If so, like I don't see the point of that.
If you want to do a weekly reward thing, then make it a point-based system. Give everybody 1 point for participating, and then give them 4 to 5 points for a win. And then, but don't make the rewards cheap. Like the 30, there's nothing like. Make it so that how many you said 210 wings per week. So don't make the minimum item under that. You know, you can't just queue quit and get anything, and don't let the points carry over. Just to give a slight, like, so if you're 50-50, if you lose, at least you tried and you got your single point. And if you win half of them, then you can actually get something, but it also rewards participating, but not to the point where it's worth it to just queue quit. If you want to.
Well, I think we should just take it one issue at a time, right? Like the to keep it simple, just adding floors so you can't fall below a certain rank just solves like so many of these issues right off the bat, and just.
I would care about not queuing below a certain rank. I don't care about falling below a certain rank.
I agree with that. So like even if you fell and threw all the way down to like fighter, like if you're a Guardian player, you still would queue against C2s, and you would give the normal amount of points. You wouldn't give points based on where your current rank is.
Actually, that's
if
true.
You fell, you get punished really fucking hard.
Yeah, that's true.
If you deserve it because you're an asshole for doing that.
If you balance the matchmaking and you only can get queued with people around you, it's gonna take you a lot harder to farm back up than if you wouldn't drop down. So it does actually help that technically. So the matchmaking is still gonna be the biggest issue that we have at hand here. Yeah.
The like really important clause is that when you if we have those floors, when you queue, if you're way below it, you still get the same amount of points as if you were in that rank, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because let's say like your bottom floor is C3. Like Andrew, let's say your bottom floor is C3, because I don't think the bottom floor should ever be Guardian, personally.
I think it should be like within two. Sorry, this is a small detail. You can continue.
I also agree with you with like the within 2, but I think the upper limit to that should be C3.
Okay.
That's a totally different discussion. We can
Yeah, that's why I said I don't want to get sidetracked. So continue.
But what I mean is, like, let's say your floor is C3, right? And you decide you're very frustrated with the game, you're burned out, so you throw every single wing, you're in fighter. When you queue in fighter, you're queuing against those C3 players. And then what happens from there is,
oh, I see.
If you beat that player, you're getting points based on if you were in C3, not if you're like 150 points below them.
Yeah, you have your
so it's a hidden floor. It's a hidden floor. Okay, I like that.
The reason I think that's important is because it punishes people who fall really hard expecting to climb back fast.
Yep.
Because you have to be throwing at that point to get to that, like, to get that low, right?
I think it's an interesting
but at the same time, there also has to be a consideration that if you haven't played for like, let's say 2 seasons, it just resets and recalibrates for you. Because if you're someone who took a break for half a year, or you took a break for a year or anything like that, and you come back and you're hard set, like you're stuck in Guardian, you may have just fallen behind so much that you can't even play. So at that point, they should give you that soft reset, and you should go back to being able to do placements and all that.
Yeah, it can soft reset like every season or every other season, something like that.
Yeah, if you miss a season, or like you don't do enough in a season, it should soft reset you so that you can start it.
I like that. Yeah, because the main issue that we want to focus is because a lot of this farming is actually happening in like fighter. It's conqueror players that are in fighter. That's the majority of the player bases. So I think that can potentially solve that as well. Of course, in that lower scale, in that rank division. But that's where people are seeing it the most, because that's where people are farming, right? Hey, I'm conqueror 3, can't get G1, but I'm conqueror 3. I can easily farm fighter, like without a doubt. Super easy, right? So I think that's some pretty good suggestions. Matchmaking and some kind of innate wall where if you go super low, you're gonna get punished by having to play matches that you probably normally would have played, right? Like C3 and above if you were like Guardian, right? While you're in like C1 or C2, that sucks. That really sucks. So I like that. That's a really good idea. So I hope Comp2Us really takes these ideas in and really make some changes here. Any last minute thoughts? I know this pretty good topic, and we're getting some pretty good things popping up here.
Are we doing a nerf buff next?
Yeah, we can do about buffs and nerfs now. It's kind of open discussion. So go ahead.
Yeah, I had a huge list of buffs, I realized.
Oh,
I still
really?
have one on the RTA subject.
Okay, go ahead.
Did you write them out? Did you write out all the buffs?
No.
Can you put them in the
Yeah.
Discord so we can read through them? That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Roman.
I
Go
mean,
ahead and do
not
your
all of
RTA
them-
topic.
So I'm
Not
still
all of them
super
have-
obsessed with my RTA specific star thing.
Okay.
I still think that is like I really like doing like a whole new stars, not like a 5-star, like when you pull a unit it's 5-star. I think there should be a whole new star system specifically and exclusively for RTA. And then RTA drafting goes to a 20 star system of RTA only stars. And I think that that's going to solve all the problems of like the esport balancing, the pay to win balancing. I think that makes it work, because if you assign monsters correct, it helps a lot of things. So it'll keep you, like, people that are super pay to win and they just get pissed that they're getting Verd, Lauren, Triana every single time. Like, those monsters would have a high enough assigned star that you wouldn't be drafting every single free-to-play RNG unit every time together. And at the same time, the people that are like, oh, great, he's got Ragdoll, Gianna, Nephthys, things like that, like, all of them at once, you can't draft all of those together. Your monster pool is, like, you can still pick any single unit, even maybe 2 together that are insane, but you can't have absolutely everything on both ends of it. I think that would keep everything a bit more in line, and I think also that it inherently makes every single bad monster better, because if you're drafting off of this RTA star system, then like a monster that would typically be considered shitty, say we consider Trinity shitty, like, just as an example.
Right, not that you have it or anything, just a random example. Gotcha. Okay, continue.
All right, say
just go. I'm just kidding.
Okay,
I'm trolling you. Go ahead.
Say Trinity has a
troll.
Say Trinity has a 2-star rating. At 2 stars of value, she becomes way better of a unit overall. You know, you've got 18 stars drafted, 2 stars remaining. For some reason, this unit is 2 stars. Like, it's a way better unit at that rating. She's all of a sudden way more valuable, way more important. She's got the speed lead, she's got the damage. Like, at that cost, she's better. So it makes all these shitty units better, and it also comes up with an easier way to buff and nerf units. You know, you raise or you lower a unit's star expense, and that makes them better or worse without fucking up their kit. Like, there's so many monsters where it's like, how do you nerf this without destroying its kit? Well, just make it cost 1 more star. Make it go from a 4 cost to a 5 cost. All of a sudden, it's a nerf without messing with the kit at all. I think this would balance everything.
It's an interesting idea. The only thing I think it's going to be a hard implement.
It's insanely hard to implement.
It's
There's
insanely
no doubt.
right?
There's no doubt
If
that
they
it's
if they
super
even
hard
go
to
remotely
implement.
towards this idea, which it's an interesting prospect. I think I would like to see it in Special League first.
You have to
Yeah.
start it in special.
They
You do.
need to like, I'm gonna reiterate it again. They need to redo more things in Special League, man. Make mistakes or make some stupid stuff, man, happen in Special League. That's where we want to test it. Nobody's gonna punish you for testing it in Special League. But we need to stop having tournament mode, man. Because I think people are getting sick of that for the Special League time. They want to have some fun. They want to do some cool things, right? They want to,
have a wheel. Just have a wheel. You load in.
There you go.
First match, it wheel spins.
Just
eight
like
different
Tyler.
modes. You gotta play whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Okay,
It's
so
something that changes things up.
yeah,
The
mix
game
it up.
is super. I'm very, very scared to use this word, but it feels very stale, right?
No, I
You
agree.
said the S word. Oh
I'm
my
sorry.
God.
Sorry.
We say it all the time, dude. We hear it all the time. It is stale,
I
but
don't usually. Honestly, I don't usually say it about Summoner's War though. It's not common for me to say it about Summoner's War.
But
Usually, I say that things are just frustrating and it's getting annoying to like play versus the same players. But I really do think that when it comes to Special League, it is very, very stale.
for me though, if they don't make changes happening in this first quarter coming up next year, I'll probably say that this is legit stale because things and metas have shifted from year to year. I know it's a long time and we're getting to the end of it, so it makes sense. But if I don't see anything first quarter, man, I will also say that it's getting pretty stale. Yeah, maybe middle. I think end is too far. End is too far.
February, March is what you're looking for?
I'm assuming, right? Because we begin getting balance patches kind of frequently, like after RTA. I think after this season RTA, there might be another one. Right? I think that's a fair
This
time.
season ends
right
at the end of the year, right?
End of the year, early next year, or something like that.
Like second week of January, like first or second week of January.
That's our guess. That's our guess. Nobody knows for sure.
Last year's balance patch was like a week from. It'd be about a week from today. It'd be next, like second week of December, I think.
Oh,
well, but they've changed in the last year. They've changed the way they approach balance patches because they usually put them out before rune removal. So that makes me wonder if they're planning on doing it like the week after Christmas. Because Christmas is on a Wednesday, right?
Who knows? Sometime soon, that hopefully.
All right, we got about maybe 10 minutes or so. I'll let you guys bring up some topics about some buffs and nerfs then, because we gotta relight the fire on buffs and nerfs since we enjoy talking about that. Sometimes we revolve around the whole topic on the whole podcast on buffs and nerfs, so we'll dabble into a little bit today. Go ahead.
Does anyone have anyone that like they really want to talk about, or should we just go through Andrew's list?
I mean, these are just buffs. Like my nerf list was very short because actually I thought that a lot of nat buffs were pretty balanced as far as elementals go. The only ones
want to
really
hear
were like Hathor, Shiho, Gani, Diana.
What is that?
Hathor, Shiho, Gani, and Diana were the one like the main elemental nat 5s that came to mind when I thought of nerfs.
Okay. Yeah, I mean those have been in there for a little bit. I think Hathor. Yes. What was the other one? Gani. Gani's strong.
Ventilate. The ability for it to be reset was one thing I said. Not too much of a nerf, but just make that skill go on cooldown. Diana, like no infinite pony procs. However they need to do it, just make sure that can't be a thing.
Yeah, that one's been talked about on the podcast a couple times.
I want to hear Andrew. I'll send you my opinion of the Diana of how I want to change Diana. I want your opinion on that later.
We probably have dabbled into Diana an insane amount of times. Yeah, at least there's answers now. From the beginning of when we started that, there was no Antares or anything like that yet. So there are some answers now, but like even now, even to the new Second Awakens, right? Miho, right? There's some new answers as well to her, but she's still definitely an issue for sure.
And she was saying like potentially just remove the invincibility. I think on him. Yeah. You can keep the immunity, but just get rid of the invincibility. It's a little too much.
So out of the ones you talked about that are
all you gotta do is Jaeger through it. It's okay.
There you go. But out of the ones you talked about that are not overly discussed, Hathor, Gani, and Diana, there is one that can we not touch him, dude? Shiho. Can we not touch Shiho? Like, why do you think Shiho needs a nerf? Dude?
He's second
He
skill.
exacerbates Hathor, dude.
Dude, I love using him, man. Don't take him away from me, dude.
I actually don't think the buffs that he gains is an issue anymore because having invincibility and immunity also allows like Chow and Leica and Jaeger to be better automatically.
How viable is that taking those units into a Hathor? Is my opinion.
Well, I mean, that's not the issue. Isn't Shiho though? And then why are you nerfing
He's
Shiho,
the most
right?
commonly used unit that's with Hathor, or one of the most common
because he strips for anyone
and his base speed. But I'm just saying that.
But I think the scary part about Shiho is that because he gains attack bar on skill 2, he can rotate faster than most units, right? It's the same thing with Aegir, right? We talk about these units that are really, really strong. They're really strong because they rotate faster than everyone else does.
But my
Right?
yeah, I guess, yeah. The invincibility is more just like, it goes hand in hand with rotating. Because you feel like if he procs to the right mode, you can
Brian, I can hear you.
What? Nah, he's fine, dude. He's fine, dude. He's not that bad. Dude, Diana counters him, bro. Like, Diana. Dude, Justice goes through invincibility now, dude. Is he fine, bro?
It's fine.
Right? I don't have to try to use another unit, okay?
It's fine. I can chow with Daphnis now. It's fine.
I'm a one mind track, bro. You take a unit away, now I gotta figure everything all out again, bro.
Do you think
He is strong, though. He is strong.
On skill 3 would be enough for Aegir and Shio?
Say again?
one more cooldown.
Do you think adding one more cooldown to turn to skill 3 specifically?
For who?
Because I mean, the scary part is that you can skill 2, skill 3, or skill 3, skill 1, and then skill 2, and then rotate back into your skill 3. Right? You have a lot of like self-protection options. With Aegir, it's the fact that you can skill 2, skill 3, skill 2, skill 1, violent proc, and have skill 3 again.
I think you have to be careful with Aegir because I feel like he's already losing his relevance in a lot of situations, and that might just push him out of. That might make him pretty unusable.
Okay, how about this? How about this? How about this?
I also think they should drop the skill 2 attack bar gain on Aegir to 30%.
Sure, that'd be fine.
If they're not going to change the skill 3 at all.
Yeah, fuck Aegir. I don't even use Aegir. Fuck him. Yeah, make it 0%. Fuck Aegir. But okay, skill 2 here for Water Bucket King though. Here. This is reasonable now. What is the chance to stun? What is the chance rate to stun? It's not 100, right?
75.
Okay, make that 100 and then take away the attack bar gain. I think that's still a really big nerf.
That's a
For a second skill, that's huge. For a second skill, that's big.
Huh? No. But I don't get attack gauge anymore, bro. I'm down for that.
Actually, I think that's a buff.
That's like.
I like that. This has elemental disadvantage. Come on, bro.
The reason I think that's a buff is because improved consistency for CC is almost always more beneficial than an RNG chance to gain attack bar or reduce attack.
Okay, so reduce attack bar instead of you gain attack bar because the turn cycling is a toxic part, right? How about that? It can still glance, it can still miss. 2 resistance checks, stun and attack bar reduction,
And then 25% attack bar down or something like that. If you're
Sure.
stunned.
There you go.
It's not bad.
Right? It still
Yeah, I
cucked
think
me
that's-
though, but alright.
That could work.
Good work.
I think that's doable, yeah.
Right? But first off, we have to see how many people think Shield's a problem, right? Because as we know, just you guys think Shield's a problem. That's like 4 people in the world. That's not that many people, right? So
Brian, are you Shield all the time?
I was Brian, I was trying to be fair because like I don't want to be just the guy that's like
No, you're right.
Hathor and says nerf Hathor. I'm trying to like think about units that I also have that I think are problems.
Andrew, for the most
No, you're
part,
right. You're right.
I'll go to a limb and put my own like credibility out there and say this. I don't think you complain about things that are unfair against you. I think you complain about things that are fairly unfair in the game. You're
That's
fairly
kind of what-
reasonable
yeah.
when you talk about things that are nerfs. Occasionally, you'll say something that I think is like, "Did you really mean that?" Or was it out of frustration? But for the most part,
Yeah.
when you actually sit down and talk with people about buffs and nerfs, you're very reasonable because you look towards the longevity of the game, not necessarily towards the longevity of your rank.
Yeah, that's basically it. I don't want it to be like I'm trying to suggest things that work in my favor, but not somebody else's. Just
Now
depending-
this
I mean,
week you have to change that and suggest only things that are in your favor, so you make one level play.
Well, I mean, I would say
God, don't do me like this.
what
You said I'm gonna put myself out there.
I'm gonna say that. I mean, I would say a majority of people that come up with these different buffs and nerfs. They, even though we meme, you know what I mean. We always are trying. We always are pretty fair with like the buffs and nerfs that we say. You know what I mean? We meme though. We meme because you have it or you don't have it. But definitely, we're usually pretty fair on these things that we come up with. I think Shio is definitely an issue. He's right under there, right under the main stuff that you see. He's been pretty strong, very strong in RTA for sure. Any other units though? What do you think about Miho lately? The Dark Martial Cat. Do you think people are just not handling her well? Do you think she's a good fit against like the Verds and the Danas and stuff like that? Or what's your thoughts so far on Miho?
I think she's fair. There's you can either use like CC or the supports can finish her off, stun, and then like some support with no crit.
Yeah.
I always run way too little crit rate on things anyway. Like my Aegir, I think my Shiho's at like 45%. My Aegir's at 50. Like it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, tell that to me last night. I did some RTAs last night. I got 1v4 from Miho with a 60% crit rate Vanessa that went multiple times, a 60% crit rate Lich with no crit rate buff, a 40% Hathor. Dude, I got destroyed, dude. I crit every time I shouldn't crit. I crit even Hathor was critting, dude. I was like, what the I was so upset, dude. I was actually like super tilted. I was like, dude, this account does not have good crit rate. How am I critting? He was like from one of my viewers' accounts. It's ridiculous, dude. I got one before.
But as far as buffs go, I mean, I can just read off a couple that I think are more pressing than others. Like, Veladrul, I don't know. I feel like the S2 needs a buff compared to, like, I feel like power creep is what did Veladrul in as far as, like, a viable support. I think he could really be more viable if he had, like, two turn cooldown on the S2 or, like, some other, like,
I still get shit on by Veladrul all the time.
I think Vela's okay, personally.
But I think that's not a bad
He's
buff,
actually
though.
made a really big comeback lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made a
There's
really
a
big
lot
comeback.
more of him now.
I talked to Judas. Judas says his baby is actually his Veladrul. He loves that thing.
but I mean, Ragdoll and Julian.
Well, yeah, no, but he actually loves the Veladrul more. That's what he like cares and he loves about.
Yeah,
the
I mean, it's
Right.
I'm trying to make use of it more just because Hathor at least like has the chance to glance, right? It's not like it's not bulldozed over, but I just feel like when you buff up with him, and then unless you're running some JP Cleave team skill, like he doesn't do anything after that until his buffs come back again. His damage, like unless something's defense broken, there's no other utility, and the strip's pretty inconsistent. So.
Yeah, so I would say he does more damage towards the late game, but yeah, he's a pretty okay unit. That I mean, if he got a buff, I don't think people would be too upset or too surprised. I mean, it would be nice. I think the 2-turn cooldown on S2, since no other unit has that in the Archangel family, is not a bad idea. I mean, Perna can do it. Why can't he? Right? I mean, that's all the
Remember
benefits
that buffs Fermion.
If
as
they,
well.
if
Fermion.
they reduce the
Fermion.
cooldown, if they reduce
That's
the cooldown, they have to change it from 3-turn dot to 2-turn dot. Because that's
Sure.
15%. That's
Sure.
15% ignore.
People want the
defense
damage, if anything, anyways. People don't use them to dot.
That
Ideally.
dot is really, really good. That dot is
I've
what
gotten
kills
wrecked
Sierra.
by
That dot is what kills
so many
Diana.
times.
Yeah.
I fucking hate that dot.
That dot kills units that rotate really fast. Sierra, Diana suffer really hard from it. This is 15%, right?
Like I always lose a unit. I'll have Triana, and I lost like an Antares like that the other day. I had Triana and Fran, all their skills up. Antares had that dot.
But just
What about,
imagine, just imagine like S3 into S2, S1, S2, and then S3 again. So good, dude. So good. That's a nice turn cycle of damage, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just comparing it to like power creep, right? Like the Druids came out, and Wild Blow is just in every way a better skill than Veladrul's second skill,
Right. True.
and his base speed still sucks. So
True. What else you got on the list? Those are actually some interesting ones to bring up. Units that we haven't really actually thought about.
I mean, like Fire Monkey still. I think the buff was a fail.
What do you mean,
Yeah.
dude? You can never land debuffs on him. What are you talking about? He's so good, dude.
I was saying like something to help him. Like I think other people said this too. Just his buff should be something that helps him get turns, right? Or some way to maybe like I said stack faster, at least 5 stacks, 5 times a stack instead of 10. Or improve skill 2. The skill 2 is kind of underwhelming. I mean, 15% heal is nothing. Defense breaks, which is nice, but the 15% heal is pretty weak. Maybe buff the heal, something like that.
I was thinking with him, it's just like they missed it. I think they missed it with the passive. Like adding 5% resist is, I don't think it's good enough. I think they should have made him the unit that counters attack bar control. So as I think you pointed out there as well, that against like protection against attack bar reduction. I think he would have been the unit that would have been good to counter all the Gani Hathor stuff if his attack bar could have been manipulated.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, he still gets debuffed, and it's not like he's a Jaeger or a Chroma, but just specifically attack bar reduction, right? Huge. Very, very huge.
Yeah, well, let's make Fire Monkey and Jaeger not get attack bar reduced. I agree.
No, Jaeger is fine, dude.
Jaeger.
All right, Jaeger is fine, bro.
I was just agreeing with y'all. I'm just agreeing with what you said.
Sure. Any other units there that you have? I like those.
I mean, Ophelia, please.
Okay, I mean,
Nerf it? Yeah, we can nerf it. It's no problem.
I mean, it's not in the strongest of positions. I mean,
You're an
I
ass.
see 0 people playing it right now. Like maybe 1 person, but there's like 0 playing
are
it.
you using it a lot anymore still, or I heard you're not using it as much anymore?
It's super hard when you don't have it's super hard playing Ophelia into Hathor because Hathor just puts your full team to sleep, and you can't really run too much immunity with Ophelia anyway because you need the slots for turn cycle units.
Right.
So.
So now, I mean, despite you potentially being biased to it, right? What do you think is a fair? Because you use Ophelia a lot, so you understand her kit and how she functions, right? What do you think is fair for her to get then if you wanted to see a buff for her?
I think she only needs one thing, and it could be potentially of the. I listed a couple things like either extra turn on S3, and then increase the cooldown so that way she can. Then like she does her buff and then she gets an extra turn to give herself immunity, for example, or give cleanse a unit. Or give her some healing and threat state skill, because a lot of the times you use Ophelia, you find like your team just doesn't have sustain in it, which is one of the issues. Those are like the main ones. Yeah, some sort of healing, sustain, and threat state skill. Non-strippable threat state's another option.
Healing sustain is fine. Threat and automatic will, fuck out of here. 0. No, don't do it.
Yeah, I don't know how
one turn will could not be the end of the world.
Yeah, you know what'd be cool is I think if you get the additional turn, might be too strong, right? It could be fair. It could, I don't know. You have to think about it more, but additional turn might be a little bit strong. So what if it did something like Drunken Master, right? S3 threat state and to like randomly pick somebody to like skill 1. And then you're gonna get immunity, right? It's just another way to get immunity, but just something interesting. I really like that mechanic of Drunken Masters, and I wish they applied that more into some of the other units like Nat 5s as well, where it like randomizes random S1.
It's also just so funny to watch, just the animation, the way it's set up.
So you want healing and you want an increased change to threat state. What if threat state gave 1 turn immunity and her skill 1 no longer gave immunity but healed like Sean's and a max HP skill?
That would actually
good.
That would be pretty good.
All it needs is 1 turn of immunity. It's the last unit
all
to
you
go.
need is the first turn. That's it.
That's true,
Yeah.
actually.
I mean, you can still give it violent runes. You can optional swift it, right? You at least have that kind of like shielding set up, and you still have the cleanse invincibility, right? But then you put heal on skill 1, makes it a viable option not to run her on will, unless they do it like John, where you can't heal on revenge.
That would be pretty interesting. Yeah, it would make her more sustained and kind of mend with her kit, you know, keeping her alive. That's what the paladins are supposed to do, right? As much as they can is support and keep your team alive. Yeah, protect. Okay, cool.
As far as new units go, like, do you guys feel like the demons, like, I think fire and water demon need buffs. I don't have them. I'm just like trying to say like
fire demon for sure. Fire demon for sure. Water demon?
I think water demon give him a full turn instead of just full attack bar, right?
No, additional turn. Additional turn.
Water demon needs buff. I don't know about fire demon.
Yeah, additional turn makes it so your opponent really has to think.
No, that's the one I don't have. So.
Okay.
It's been tested. It's been tested. I've used it quite a bit. He sucks. Yeah, he sucks. I mean, he's fun to use. His damage is great, but not getting that reliable additional turn or a turn when you revive is useless.
The reason he sucks is because there's so much turn gain in the meta. So like Verd is just a direct counter to him. Like there's if Verd is on the board, you just can't use Water Demon at all.
I mean, he comes back, but then you die.
To be the counter to Verd too.
Pardon?
Isn't that the idea? Like he's supposed to be the counter to Verd, so he's like almost there, but
well, I mean, he's the counter to a couple of things. He's counter to like bombs. He's counter to just any extra turn mechanic. It's not strictly just the Verd. But the reason people say like he's the counter to Verd is because water versus fire, right? Like all the other units that kind of take a lot of turns like that are generally the wind units, Diana, Sierra.
But the thing is that if he doesn't cut in like a Triana and taking that additional turn, he just dies to violent procs, right? Either A, he comes back alive at 100% attack gauge, right? But if there's a Verd on the other side, like Tyler said, and it boosts his team's over 100%. Any of them are moving, you're dead. Or scenario B, where anything that moves and then he revives, violent procs, you also dead. Right, so
I think the being over 100% attack bar is okay. I don't think the violent proc is okay because the violent proc in that sense is, and this is going to come down to like what kind of mechanics do we want to follow in the game. But the violent proc one is frustrating because it could be anything. The Verd one is like there's only a couple units that are really going to push your attack bar over, and that's also just like a drafting difference. So like if you drafted this knowing that could happen, that's your fault. But I think the violent one, I mean, that's totally uncontrollable and it's frustrating, right? Because it's literally going to any violent proc will kill you no matter what because it does damage, right? You come back at 1 HP.
Exactly.
The elemental demons might need buffs, but the light demon especially needs nerfed. I think so. Let's nerf
maybe they could change the way the skill 2 and passive works on water demon. So instead of coming back at 1 HP, he comes back at higher HP and he gains his damage scaling faster as his HP drops between, let's say, 150.
Dude, 1 HP. When he comes back with 1 HP, bro, mine hits like 50k, bro. No attack buff. Like,
what I mean,
you're dead, bro.
What I mean is, like, what if he comes back at like 30% HP or something? Right? Yeah. He comes back at 30% HP and then he still gets the full damage scaling or like a good portion of the damage scaling because then he has the chance to live and do damage. And he also does
Rageki's idea is not too bad. They come back with invincibility. That's also not bad too.
Invincibility or endure buff. Yeah.
Oh. Come back with endure buff. That is reliability. I take that. Pounce. Come to us. Make it happen. Yeah. Basically. Right. Okay. Really awesome podcast today. Very solid podcast. We went over some pretty good topics, right? Amazing quality of life changes. Amazing, talks about the AIs, a little bit dabbling into the botting situation, if there is really any, right? I think they're handling it pretty well, but just to put it out there so they stay on their toes, right? You continue to check those out, along with the buffs and changes and, RTA discussion. We went through a lot of good topics, man. Yeah, thank you guys for joining me for the podcast today. If you guys are watching from the YouTube channel.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody remember to wish IslandGrown happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Brian.
Happy birthday, Brian.
What? Why are you memeing me? Yeah, are you Twitch chat? Right?
We're not memeing you. Guys, it's his 21st birthday.
My birthday just passed, bro. You can't trick the YouTube channel, man. The YouTube channel watched the birthday video,
bro. The YouTube channel will still say happy birthday, even if they know it's a joke.
Yeah, everybody in YouTube.
Look, chat loves you. Chat wants to wish you a happy birthday.
Yeah, true. All right. Not my birthday, though, but thank you for the birthday wishes. For you guys here, I'm going to put all your links in the description below. Make sure you guys check them out. Somebody's always streaming at some time. Right, everybody here streams quite a bit at different time zones. So make sure you guys check them out, ask them questions, and
wait. One thing, Lucky, look what Zom sent me.
Oh no, what is this? Oh, he sent you Vegemite. He sent you Vegemite.
Ooh.
Have you tried it? It sent you Milo as well. Nice, good choice.
Wait, have you tried the Vegemite?
Have you tried the Vegemite?
Are you gonna try it right now?
Try it right now.
Are you gonna try a piece, a finger of it right now?
Just a teaspoonful right now.
Not a
spoonful right now. Let's go.
Just like thank you.
Half teaspoon right now. Let's go.
Guys, if you're watching this right now, this is the epitome of peer pressure. Go ahead. Try it.
Oh, here we go.
Only for you guys.
Half a teaspoon, okay?
Describe taste.
Tell us a teaspoon before you put it in.
Just
smell
it.
Don't smell it. Don't
smell it. Don't smell it, dude.
Never smell it. Just eat it. Just eat it. You don't smell it. That's how you make it worse.
Show the amount.
That's a fair amount.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
That's fair.
All right.
That looks like a piece of crap, dude, on your pinky.
Andrew for this? Is that a thing?
Yeah, you're good. Go for it. All of it in there.
Oh, I saw those eyebrows.
Yes.
I've never seen anybody turn that red that fast. That was great.
He's so red.
He's so red.
So red.
Right now.
Wait, what is describe taste? Describe taste to the best of your ability.
And texture.
Salt. Okay, so it's smooth, salty, like really salty, bitter. Tastes like it tastes like the worst fish I've ever eaten, I guess.
A salty, bitter, smooth fish.
Yeah, there you go.
Interesting.
You're welcome.
All right.
This one, this is amazing. So I can't
Milo's good.
Wait, Milo, isn't that just chocolate milk? Chocolate.
It's like a malt drink.
Is it
like
powder? Is it powder?
It's similar to Ovaltine, but not quite the same.
But it's powdered, right?
Powder, yeah.
All right, have some of the powder. Have some of the
No,
powder.
that's no.
Just the whole thing.
Yeah, cinnamon challenge the powder. Come on.
Oh Jesus.
Dude, I gotta get some of the content creators back around sometime, and we gotta do some of those weird, those basic challenges that you see on the YouTube channel. I think people would love to see that, like cinnamon challenge.
In person, when we go to events, we need to just plan something and just do it all.
Yeah, I'm down. Yeah, we'll do something. Maybe we can plan something in Orlando. I don't know.
Yeah, let's do something in Orlando.
Yeah.
Fluffy bunnies. I want to see who can put the most marshmallows.
Yeah, just stop by the store and buy some marshmallows, dude. Just do something. People want to see that.
I win that. I challenge anybody on that. I got that. No problem.
Oh, you got a big mouth?
A huge mouth. I won so many free drinks off my mouth. Yeah.
Can you shove your fist in your mouth?
I have a big ass hand. No. Stop asking me to fist myself.
Oh god.
Podcast after hours.
I know.
I can fit a lot of the test tube shot glasses in my mouth, the cylindrical little beaker tubes,
like the whole
but
thing?
I can fit 14 in my mouth at one time.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I can fit. I won a whole rack of drinks.
Do you have a picture of this?
So
you can't take pictures in a strip club.
I do wanna put this up here because we're talking about that. I am planning to do a second podcast time that might not be every single week, might be like bi-weekly or something. And I was thinking about doing it in the evening where it would be a little bit more chill, even more chill than this, and would have conversations like this as well as conversations about Summoners War. So
IRL podcast.
More chill.
Yeah.
You'll do it shirtless.
Kind of like IRL Summoners War kind of podcast.
Everyone has
Shirtless Brian. Guys, Brian's gonna be topless. It'll be great.
So
I'm ready,
everyone wears
dude.
a bathrobe, and every time you lose Never Have I Ever, part of it has to slip down a little bit.
Oh God, dude.
I've got a parrot, like crazy awesome bathrobe. I'm ready. Let's do this.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah.
Have fun with your
Sounds
podcast,
good.
Ryan.
Okay, yeah, I don't know about that. But all right, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's podcast, and make sure you guys leave that like, make sure you subscribe, and leave those comments below. I always go through all those comments for future ideas and suggestions. I know some of you guys have been suggesting the same thing from podcast to podcast. You might not have seen your things pop up, but it's probably just because we've talked about it many times in the past, right? If you guys didn't know, December here, it marks our 1 year of podcasts. So it's been an amazing whole year of doing podcasts, and we're going to end it now. Yeah, that's Monka TOS. All right. Oh my.
Happy birthday, Brian.
Happy
All right,
birthday,
guys.
Brian.
Thank you guys for tuning in and wishing me an unbirthday, I guess. Peace out, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.